very excited to be playing all these old songs. Grateful that we have the kind of audience, well, we'll see how tonight goes, but generally speaking, so far this week, have the kind of audience that will let us indulge a little and revisit a record that, wasn't always our favorite, and it wasn't the easiest time, because it was very early in our career where shit was still very, very hard, but it's been so joyful to work on these songs and to bring them back to life and to be able to play them to people who've never seen us play them before. So thank you for being here. It's really interesting because when a lot of times when a record comes out, it's sort of a collection of, it's really just memories, it's things that have happened that were important enough that it inspired you to write a song, and then you had to record it, and then it sort of sits on the shelf for a second while you get all your ducks in a row, and then it finally comes out, and it's a little bit like retro feeling to the people who are singing it every night. And so it's really funny because a lot of the people who are coming to the shows, or even our friends and family, they'll say, "Oh, what I remember about this record is," and they'll tell you something that's really, like in the timeline, it's from when the record came out. And for us, what was happening during the months and maybe even years that inspired this album, it was the stuff that was happening on the touring cycle of the record before it, so Business of Art. And so when I think about this album, I don't generally think of the touring cycle for If It Was You. I actually think of all the insane shit that was happening in the year and a half before we made the record and started touring it. So, we had lots of really great stuff, like, we were touring for the first time, opening for people like Neil Young, for example. But then, like, in the background, like, what was happening in my personal life was, was so much more tumultuous. I was having this, like, my first adult relationship. I left Calgary, I moved to Vancouver with my girlfriend, and we had our first apartment, and we were sort of navigating adulthood, and this record, when Tegan talks about, like, not necessarily loving an album or feeling, weird about an album, a lot of times it's like that baggage that makes the album feel weird to me. So it's funny, every night when we play these songs, I'm totally transported back to my, like, weird apartment on Harrow Street in, like, the West End of Vancouver. And I'm like, why did I only have a cot and not a couch? Or like I'm like, that fucking landlord, what a piece of shit. I can't believe he took my security deposit. I'm like, all these weird, fresh details, like, okay, this is so deep, but, like, I only lived in my first apartment for, like, 6 months, but it happened to happen over the Thanksgiving period of time, and we cooked a turkey in the oven. And my landlord would not give me back my security deposit because he said there was, like, turkey juice all over the... Like, what an asshole. Also, I would have fully cleaned it. He only told me after I'd already moved out. I was like, I will come back over and clean it right now. Classic landlord move. Also, all Sarah's been doing all week since we got this tour in running. Are you going to seriously bring this up right now? All Sarah's been doing all week is talking about how hard it is to be a landlord because she's been replacing a fridge. So I just want to say, it's crazy, you guys. I'm so fucking over this. It's like, before we get too off track, I also want to say that it isn't just a night where we're celebrating If It Was You. We are about to literally launch into songs not from that album. So we're going to be mixing and matching all night. It's every time we play a song from If It Was You, you could do a shot or bite off the head of an edible or something. I just want to say, getting this refrigerator, you guys, it's been harder. I have sponsored 2 women to immigrate from the United States of America to Canada. This has been harder than the immigration process. I'm not even joking. And one of my sponsorees, how do you say that? She's here tonight, and she knows how hard it was. And she also knows how hard the refrigerator has been, because she's been with me for the last week as I've been taking those calls. It's very stressful. Lesbian chain migration. Which is kind of what this next song is about. Yeah, a little bit.